Hey everyone, welcome back to a deep dive into the digital divide. I'm your host Sanjana Diddige, and today I'm joined once again by Mind and Unwind. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves again?
Of course, I'm Samina Radla.
I'm Omche Gurupati.
I'm Nisha Kandula.
I'm Sheena Jyoti.
I'm Ronik Mahanti.
I'm Shruti Medichala.
All right, it's so nice to have you guys back again. So to get us started, can you guys just tell us what's been up with you? How has Mind and Unwind been going?
So the last few months we have been working pretty hard. We attended the State Leadership Conference in March. We got to create many exciting memories and connections with other chapters in all of Georgia. And fortunately, with our hard work and support from all of our listeners and supporters, we were able to achieve first place in our event Mental Health Promotion. So now we get to continue this journey building on mental health and promoting awareness of it. And we get to represent our chapter in Nashville, Tennessee for the International Leadership Conference.
Wow, well, congratulations, guys. That's really good. Your hard work definitely paid off. And I'm glad you mentioned your first place position in your state leadership conference. So now that you guys are the top campaign, can you tell us about your experience with meeting with your peers and with other advisors at state leadership conference, and how that has either changed your view on mental health and or your approach to mental health? And if your views didn't change, then how did the state leadership conference kind of bolster your views on that?
I think the State Leadership Conference was very helpful, and this might have just been for me, but I feel like I learned specifically that people are a lot more approachable than they seem, and I feel like this is something we can factor into our campaigns more. So for example, during SLC, it's all about networking and getting these kind of connections, and I had a bunch of people come up to me, talk to me, who I've never met. They introduced themselves, got to know me a little bit, and I did the same thing for a few other people as well. I reconnected with some old friends, made some new ones, all from all different parts of the state. You have some from Lambert, Chattahoochee, all these different places, and I feel like it really helped me understand that people are there for you if you need them. So I want to kind of factor that into our future campaigns, where we can go a little bit more out of our current comfort zone of community level with the people we know kind of basis, and really spread out and target people who have not heard of us or haven't heard of what we do.
I completely agree with Ronik. When we were in our area for competition, like that waiting room, we got to see other campaigns. We saw the other teams practicing their campaigns. A couple of us went up to the other people, and we just talked. We were just like, "What's your campaign about? Like, what are you doing?" And it was just a really nice experience, just meeting other campaigns, meeting other individuals that work so hard to get where they are. And I feel like we can really bring that in, maybe even in the future collabing with other campaigns would be a possibility as well.
Yeah.
And not only with other campaigns and other schools, we were also able to connect with other people within our own chapter. For example, during the State Leadership Conference, there was a lot of organizing that was involved, and us being a large group, we were able to sort of lead our chapter. We had red bows in our hair, and we were able to lead people back to the hotel and everything. So it was just a great way for us to learn about how to be organized, especially when having a campaign this large and growing this much. It's really important to stay organized and keep track in order to help the community entirely, and not just your self-growth.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what Ronik was saying, I think that's a big part of mental health, because a big part of that is overcoming your fears and just doing it. And I know a lot of people wouldn't always go out of their way to talk to new people, but I think a big part of mental health is just overcoming your fears and just doing it, because the hardest thing to do is start doing it. So Sanvi, you mentioned that you talked to a bunch of other people that were doing a bunch of different hosted projects during your state leadership conference. So after talking to all of these students, getting all of these perspectives, and this is a question for all of you, what mental health challenges do you think are most pressing for students right now?
In my opinion, the most pressing mental health matter as of now has to be social anxiety. So many people in this generation are so scared, not necessarily scared, but just in fear of going out, talking to other people their age, and just making conversation with people that they don't know. Like going back to what Ronan said, like just going out and meeting people and just striking up a conversation can just make such a change in the way you speak to people, the way you like hold yourself, and the way you present yourself to people. Like for example, for me, before I even started HOSA, I didn't speak to people, but after like meeting new people, after doing projects, after doing campaigns, and just meeting like so many people throughout different schools and regions, I've been able to like just go out there and get out there and just have like so many people to talk to and just like get different perspectives. So I really think social anxiety is the one thing in our generation specifically that is like a very pressing mental health concern.
Like what Swami said, like I would completely agree with that because before HOSA and Mind and Unwind, I would be a little scared to just go up to strangers and be like, hello, my name's Isha. But for HOSA, like for our bake sale, for pickleball, we had to go up to other people. We had to go and like market ourselves. And that really helped me like overcome that, like just be able to like speak my voice like out in public, like around strangers as well.
And I just wanted to say, I agree with Sambi's point about social anxiety, but I also wanted to say that I don't feel like social anxiety is the most pressing matter. I feel like for teenage mental health and just mental health in general, I feel like the most pressing issue is still depression, anxiety, like everything you've heard of. It's more commonplace now because of technology. Social anxiety is a way it gets expressed, I feel like, but technology is a way you can see it through body image, through self-harm, through all these different things that you see online. It really affects you. And I think that depression is still one of the most leading, if not the leading cause of mental health.
I agree with Ronik on that because especially in our generation, we're always so centered around studies and grades, and it's also competitive in our schools, so it's also hard for us. It's also so much pressure, so we tend to not get sleep, and then we focus too much in our heads, and we just
And then also what Ronik had said about, just like being online, and especially teenagers nowadays, with like how prevalent, social media is, and like every teenager has social media. The bar set online seems to be so high, and I know everyone says like comparison is the thief of joy, and just when you go online and you see all these people, they're so successful, their social image is perfect almost, and just comparing yourself to that, it could really like set you back personally.
But I think, in my opinion, some way like to alleviate that is like learning how to build your self-confidence, for example. For me as well, I struggled a lot with like learning how to interact with others, especially my freshman year. I wasn't able to work with the team effectively. However, through HOSA, I learned more about leadership skills, and I think that has taken such a significant part of my life. And I would also see on Instagram like a lot of beautiful people, and it just made me want to compare myself. But I also saw a fact online saying that people only show 20% of their lives, and 80% of them is just doing things like their regular selves. And we often think about that because they show their 20% selves, but we're thinking about how that compares to our own weaknesses. So it's really important to take that and factor it in that way.
Yeah, and a lot of the conversation just now was about social media, which is a perfect segue into my next question. So we kind of touched on this just now a little bit, but and I'm sure you guys do this too on your social media, where you will have like mini campaigns within the umbrella of Mind and Unwind, where you'll do like hashtag Mental Health Awareness Month, like hashtag Do Your Favorite Activity, things like that, right? So how do you think these like mini social media campaigns that are constantly showing up on people's feed could influence public perceptions of mental health?
I think it really helps eliminate the stigma behind mental health. Like, mental health is something that's always kind of been frowned upon, especially for men. Men have been typically seen to have to suppress their emotions, keep them inside, where women have been seen to be a little bit more expressive. I feel like the idea of having these mini campaigns where you post every day or every other day, or you do very consistent posting, and really your main goal is outreach. I feel like that serves as a form of visibility. So these posts will catch the algorithm eventually, is the hope, and at some point someone who really needs it will see it, and they'll gain an understanding of, oh, I'm not alone, and they know who to reach out to or what to do with themselves.
Do you think that these campaigns might glorify mental health a little bit, or maybe paint it in a false positive light? Or do you think that it's showing the real picture of mental health struggles, but also that there's a positive way to overcome it?
I personally think it's showing like the true picture of mental health and positive ways to overcome it, because mental health isn't like a specific thing. It changes person to person. Like person A to person B, like the way they think, the way they feel would obviously change, because we're human. We all have different ways of like feeling and thinking. But just having like these hashtags on social media and such, I feel like that's a good way for like for example, if you're struggling with something specific, and those posts like can reach to you specifically, like if it's about anxiety, if it's about depression, if it's like a way to like just make yourself like feel more out there, feel seen and heard, I feel like that's a good way. And no matter what the post is itself, I feel like mental health can always just help you. I like posts about these can always just help you. I don't think it's just glorifying like mental health.
Okay, so obviously we've been talking a lot about mental health, but I know that you guys are in HOSA, so you guys are basically the future of our healthcare industry. And so I wanted to ask you guys, as future health professionals, do you think that future health professionals and people in the health industry should be trained in understanding not only mental health, but digital mental health tools? Because obviously technology and social media is such a big part of our lives now. So
I completely agree with that. Like at my internship right now, instead of actually coming in for their appointments, there are patients who call the provider and have an online meeting with them. This might not be as effective with like physical things, but I believe like with therapists and like psychiatrists, this would be very helpful, as patients don't have to come out all the way and they could just have the conversation with their doctor online and get an immediate response.
And I feel like it'll be a good thing for most medical professionals, because I might be wrong on this, but I believe most teachers are trained to be able to help with these kind of mental health situations, spot signs of depression, anxiety, or be able to help in a mental health crisis. And it makes sense for teachers because they spend most of their day around kids, interacting with people who are still trying to figure out what they're doing with their life. But I feel like it should make sense in a medical setting as well. You're dealing with patients who have had maybe life-changing things happen to them. Maybe they had some sort of a disease detected, or maybe they heard of a loved one and they had to come to the hospital. They're going through very intense things, and I feel like it should be probably required for medical professionals to be able to spot these things and know what to do, because at a hospital, you're not trying to solve just the physical problem. You're trying to help them as a whole. You're trying to help the person, and the mental health is a big part of that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And to kind of wrap things up, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what do the next steps look like for Mind and Unwind, and also for each of you individually regarding mental health?
So for Mind and Unwind, our next plan, like even after ILC, we want to go beyond, and hopefully before ILC actually, we want to turn this into a club or a non-profit, so we can just continue this project throughout high school, even after we go to college, and maybe even hand it over to underclassmen. So mental health, people always know that Mind and Unwind is there, and if you need people to talk to, if you need support, you can always come to us. And we just want to keep Mind and Unwind as like something that's just there. Like you always know that it's there. You always know that it's there for you. You always know that they're doing events to support mental health and such.
Yeah, I completely agree. We hope to continue creating these fun and engaging events while also continuing on with our social media campaigns and our podcasts and all of our videos, because at the end of the day, we just want to help support everyone on our platform and hopefully make a difference on not just one person's, but maybe a couple people's lives.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm so excited to see what you guys accomplish. Congratulations on your big win at SLC, and good luck in Nashville. You guys are going to do amazing. And that's another episode of a deep dive into the digital divide. Thank you so much for listening.